Good afternoon, everybody. It's 2:26 p.m. on a let's see Monday here, June 14th, 2021. It's been a while, guys. How you doing? I hope everybody's hanging in there. I apologize. There hasn't been too many videos lately. Several things going on. I've been moving, but also the weather's been super slow, and I'm just trying to like get back into it at the right time. You know what I mean? It's been sort of like if there's no need for it, then why would I post anything? So, hopefully there's some action later on in this week, and we'll talk about that. Right now, I got the radar image up here, and it's also got, if you can kind of see it, it's a really faint green line here. This is, I think that's just like a general thunderstorm risk out there, just highlighting this area here in eastern Wisconsin. As you see, some weak reflectivities in that area. Really nothing too much going on. It would be nice to get some rain out of that. All right, so let's go into the first matter of business here. We're going to be talking about Thursday thunderstorm chances and what are the prospects for severe weather. I'm clearing my schedule for a possible storm chase. I don't know how far I want to go as far as I'd like to go far, because I know that this season's been hard to find severe weather events or anything to chase, really. I haven't chased yet this year, and this is literally the longest I've ever gone into a season without that happening. Sure, I could have chased something, but I thought that the quality overall has not been great. So, anyways, it's getting to the point now where you kind of just have to go and hope that, because you have so few opportunities, you know what I mean? So here's the SPC severe weather convective outlook for days 4 through 8, and we're not seeing anything pop up here yet for Wisconsin, and there's not much in the days 1 through 3. But day 4, D5 is actually going to be Thursday, and they do talk about it here in the discussion from this morning. Here on Monday, June 14th, they say positive tilt upper trough is forecast to move southeast across the northern plains and upper Mississippi Valley on Thursday, with a front roughly from Wisconsin into any Nebraska at about 7 p.m. there. Storms are most likely during the evening and overnight. When night falls, it will be the greatest. Forecast instability is modest, and low-level winds will be veered, suggesting dry air potential, deep layer theta E, not of particularly high quality. At least low-end severe probabilities could be added in later outlooks from eastern Nebraska into Wisconsin. So it's not overly, it's not like they're expecting the worst storm ever to hit. It's more like they're saying there's a chance of a storm. We may add it in at some point, but we're kind of on the lower end of the risk level here. They'll be watching it. So yeah, I think it's interesting how they say instability is modest paired with low level winds, which will be veered. I'm not sure how those relate to each other, but I know how they relate. But I'm just saying, like, I would say when you say instability is modest, I would think that it's not that great. When you say low level winds will be veered, I would say that's a good thing for storms. So anyway, let's go take a look here at what's going on here, at least through the next 4 days. So this week, starting with today, the blue is just predicted spots where you might get rain or maybe some light thunderstorms. And I'm sure you're familiar with that, especially if you watch the models. Going through time here as we go into Wednesday, not a whole lot going on. A little bit of a high pressure there going through, looks like Lake Michigan, Great Lakes area. But then as we get into Thursday, you see some blues and some activity fire up to the west, which is interesting. And then there on Thursday night into Friday, you get this big blob in here. Okay, so this thing is going to be our next item of interest. This is what, something to watch. Again, the GFS does tend to do convective, go over the top with convection there later on in the period. We used to call it convective bomb. It's just an overestimate, but I think what it's trying to tell you is that there's convection in the area, and maybe it'll bring us some rain because this area, we'll talk about this later in the video, really needs the rain. Really, really, really needs some water to come out of the sky. Geez, it's just been one of those years. It's unbelievable. But as we go beyond that, not too much going on actually for the weekend. On this run now, things do change a lot. We're going into Monday next week. There was one other event on the GFS for next week that I thought was really interesting. This one here. Now, this seems to me to be a little bit overkill. Okay, it's trying to predict a 993 millibar low pressure system moving straight through central Wisconsin there next Monday, which would be amazing, but I doubt that's going to happen. We're going to just see how it goes. But this would be one way to equalize the severe weather threat, severe weather that we've had this year, or lack thereof, because that this type of system is pretty big leagues for this time of year. But again, it changes so much, and I really would rather not get hung up or talk too much about that right now. Okay, here's the GFS, and we're going to take this circle off. So this is at 03Z Friday morning, which would be close to 10 p.m. on Thursday evening. So this is just after sunset, and it's showing what would appear to be a complex of storms on this trajectory. It starts in, I will show you earlier time frames here, but kind of going across this area on the GFS. Now this whole thing you're seeing here could happen anywhere in here, in my opinion. Okay, it's not necessarily, it's not like all 100% going there. It could be anywhere in there. That's my point. We'll take a look at another GFS for a little bit earlier in the period, and this is the reason I'm showing you this for 00Z. So this is 7 p.m. that evening, is because that lines up with the other models that I'm going to compare to. And here I got the comparison loaded already. Here's the GFS. Here's the NAM. It doesn't look as great, and that's fine. We're just talking about potential here. I mean, it doesn't look that great in terms of coverage, but the GFS has a resolution issue. These two aren't necessarily, what do you want to call, the same thing. And then the European has it further west. And this is, again, right in totally possible. This would not surprise me at all. So anywhere in there. But for now, we're thinking about, okay, well, somewhere in here, what might happen in here, okay? What caught my eye this morning when I first saw this, and something that makes me somewhat optimistic, is looking at this upper level energy here. So you get a nice band of westerlies here at the upper levels. This is 500 millibar. That looks to be over 60 knots, perhaps into the 70 knot range in this zone here. So this is coming across our target area. Okay, this is a good sign for severe thunderstorms or increases the potential. Now I'm going to take a look at the 850 millibar. And you're going to see right over that same area, you have crisscrossing or intersecting jets. So 500 millibar going out of the west, 850 millibar coming out of the southwest. Now it could be more veered, sure. And some of this is a nocturnal low-level jet they're picking up at about, because this is at 10 p.m. there on Thursday. So you're going to get that low-level jet kicking up. But it's nosing together. So you have an intersection here, which is typically associated with severe weather, especially this time of year when you can get those two things working together like that. Again, I'm not predicting a major outbreak or anything, just pointing that out. Okay, going a little bit higher detail here. This is surface-based CAPE, again at 10 p.m. The reason, again, I'm doing 10 p.m. is just what I pulled from the start here. I could have gone 00Z and gone 7 p.m., but it's just what it is. And by this time, as you would expect, the instability might be a little bit pinched off here, okay, as we go into the evening hours. But this is also symptomatic of something that, a reason why this might be, the severe weather might be greater over Iowa as opposed to Wisconsin, because you got the pool of instability sitting here, but not here. You get maybe a narrow access into Wisconsin or something like that might flare up for an hour or a few hours there Thursday evening, and then transition into probably more of an elevated heavy rain risk as it goes this way, because you're not tapping into the surface-based instability as much. So really, to me, the target area is probably going to be in here somewhere if you're looking for surface-based storms. Not to say this area won't be interesting for something, maybe a shelf cloud. So surface-based instability with the crossovers, 500 millibar, 850 millibar, and 10 meters here, and you're seeing favorable. I mean, they look good. Like I said, I thought the 500 millibar looks great. 850 millibar fits the mold. I mean, that's where you want them to be. And then you're seeing that crossover with the instability here. So yeah, I mean, in here somewhere, in there, yeah. I mean, we could look closer at the surface level, but I really want to see some of these other things. I kind of want to see it. Is it going to be southern Wisconsin, or is it going to be northwestern Iowa? You know, where is this exactly going to be? And then we can go in even greater detail that way. This is just eye candy. This is called the storm relative helicity, 0 to 3 kilometer. And it's just showing you this here. I think this is partially due to the convective complex that the GFS develops. Okay, so you're getting these crazy out-of-the-world numbers. But meanwhile, you know, your instability and your surface-based storms are probably still down here. So this may be irrelevant, you know what I mean? But across this area, you know, fully in play. The other thing I want to mention is, because the instability does appear to be not making it into Wisconsin as well, here's the temperature for that 03Z. Again, it does cool off a little bit, but you're seeing what I'm trying to show you is this basically a warm front. Where is the 80s and 70s, upper 70s and 80s versus where are the 60s, and you're seeing that really like Wisconsin, is kind of in the cold zone, and this is in the warm zone. So you're going to tend to see, storms that would maybe not back build, but tend to form in Iowa and then move, east or north or wherever they go. East, they'd move east or southeast actually, but they wouldn't be, they'd be running into colder air in Wisconsin if they came up that way or out that way. So as of right now, and then the dew points for that same time frame. Just showing that it's nosing in here, but typically you're going to have, if you have these like little knobs that stick up like this, you tend to get rain up in here sometimes, or, this is where things kind of fall apart, and it just shoves this all back south again. So that's why, typically in the later time frames you see, like closer to the event, you see things shifting further south is because you're raining in your upper part of the warm sector and you're destroying it as these models get better and better, and they're picking up on that. So yeah, I mean, typically you'd see, Anyway, I'm just drawing a bunch of lines at this point. The other thing to mention was the rain. Again, this is typical of maybe the GFS with a convective bomb situation. We're just looking at axis here. So, if we could get this really to happen as the GFS predicts, this would just be terrific, actually. Even though it looks bad in here, I would take this over, I would take this. I would take the deal because we need it. We need that rain. All right, a fun little sounding here. This is from... looks like that 7 p.m. time frame. They're on Thursday evening. Let's look at this. Now, what I like to look at are a few things. I look at a lot of stuff, and it's just whatever pops out sometimes. But you're looking at that. This is the lower 0 to 3 kilometers. So let me bring this back down. Lower 0 to 3, 0 to 6 actually. But the 0 to 3 is like in here. That's a really good veering. Okay, that's really good. That's all you need. The other thing to look at, I hope it shows up in your screen, is in here. And then also this number. So surface to 1 kilometer shear of 27 knots. Where I took this, it was more of a Dubuque to northeast Iowa, just for reference. But so 27 knots there at surface to 1 kilometer would be your tornado zone, and typically anything over 25 is within range. Is good enough to produce tornadoes. And then you have the surface to 6 kilometers over or upwards of 50 knots. Effective shear over 40 knots, so that's good enough. Okay, good enough. The only issue you have is just that thermodynamic. And they mentioned it in the SPC outlook, was that the thermodynamics could be better across Wisconsin. I think in Iowa they're better, but you're maybe not getting the shear as much up there, or down there, I should say. So yes, but yeah, I mean, you're looking at a lot of things here. You can't quite see it because my face is in the way. But the whisker plot here has it even upwards of, you have 4. Basically, the way I look at it is when that blue line right here goes, into this purple range, you're seeing a better likelihood of tornadoes versus if it were down in here. So if it's down in here, you're probably not going to see anything too crazy. But up in here, you start getting into, okay, this is interesting or more interesting than the average. It's not that I think that EF4 tornadoes are going to be everywhere, So all right, there's that. Now we're gonna take a step out, and we're gonna look at ensembles, and we're gonna look at long range. Okay, what's going on here on the GFS now? GEEF. Okay, so this is ensemble forecast. And it's showing a 2 meter temperature anomaly from days 9 to 13. Okay, this is not perfect, but it's showing more of a colder signal across the central United States, which is interesting. In my opinion, it's been quite warm over in here to this point. It's almost like it went from spring straight into midsummer, and we missed the space in between where we get the storms, so maybe we're going to get the storms here in the middle summer. That's just my gut feeling. I have no science to back that up. Here's the departure from normal precipitation for spring, or the last 3 months, ending on the 12th of June. And these orange colors in here is -4 to -8 precipitation in inches, the precipitation departure from normal or average. So that's saying normally you would have anywhere from like 4 to 8 inches more rain than you've had, and in some of these places, I don't even know if you've had any rain, to be honest with you, but right here, it's really, really rough. Okay. That's really dry. I mean, and I think there is a drought. I didn't go and look, but I think there is. Normal temperature departure, and you're looking at Whoopsies. Well, that works too. I just got to go down here. The reds are anywhere from 3 to 5 degrees above average, and it's at the higher end of the scale. And you're seeing that right across Wisconsin. Warm, pretty warm, the last 3 months versus the average. So you got dry conditions and warm conditions, and everything's dried the f out. Okay. All right. So what is the ensemble's forecasting for the days 7 through 13, 8 through 14? So that would be what 1 to 2 weeks from now, and it's showing a lot wetter signal there in midsummer, closer to July 4th. I looked at several periods there from that time frame, and that's what it's. So hopefully it's going to go wet, but we'll see when we get there. I don't want to promise rain and not get any, but the long-term prospects do look favorable, or look better at least. And this was again, I showed you this already, but these two things paired together, when you get a colder setup in the middle of the hottest time of the year, or you're probably seeing more cold fronts, or you're seeing more low pressure systems work through. So these two things seem to be paired well with each other, based on what I can remember. And the CPC forecast there for the 8 to 14 day period on precipitation does show a wetter tendency over the eastern United States. This looks like a regional, almost a continental size pattern, preference towards wetter in the east. Maybe there's some sort of oceanic, maybe the AMO is doing something that they're picking up on or whatever. So that's helpful, and that would be very nice. And then the temperature predictability, that for that same time frame there, so that would be June 22nd to 28th, right before 4th of July, perhaps a little cooler across, relative to average, across that part of the country. So it's getting better. I think it looks better. Like I said, jumped straight from spring into midsummer without anything in between, and that was what's happened so far. We could really use the rain, and I think we're probably going to get it now as opposed to before when you'd expect it. Yeah, so that's what I got for today, and I'll be watching this, and if nothing happens, then I won't do an update. But if it looks like things are maybe escalating or looking a little bit more crazy for Wisconsin, I'll do another video. If you have any questions, feel free to ask away, and I will do my best to get to them. The website, not much going on. I just got my desk set up this week, or last week, at the end of last week, and so just getting going. And as far as the website goes, I'm not planning any development right now. I simply want to, as the weather picks up, get more content onto the webpage as it feels right for me. So again, I'm ready to chase. I'm ready to go after this stuff, but if the weather's not cooperating, I won't force it. Anyways, thank you for watching my video. I hope you guys stay wet out there, actually, because we need that wetness. Stay wet. Geez, I mean, you're gonna be pruny. But I think I'd rather be wet than dry at this point. And hopefully, pray for rain. Hope it comes. I think the prospects look better there later in June. Maybe July will be better too. Maybe July will be more like June. We're way behind on severe weather this year. Totally way behind. And not that we're going to catch up real fast, but some of the years that are way behind to begin with often and can flip to go to the opposite. So it's not that, it doesn't mean that, we're going to be slow all summer. It could flip. So just keep your guard up. So, all right, guys, I'll talk to you later. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.